Hi, welcome back. In this video, we're talking about Readymade Bodhisattva by Park Seonghwan, and I may be mispronouncing that last name, so do bear with me. A couple notes at the top first off, I don't have any big major content warnings. This is one of my favorite stories that I've covered on this channel in a while, and I do want to note that some knowledge around Buddhism is helpful to follow the story, just because there's some terminology that is kind of assumed that you know in some cultural context that's assumed as well. So with that, let's hop into our passage. Well, of course, we're always gratified and appreciative when someone finds a use for our products, said the technician with a smile. But robots in a temple? It's not really the sort of thing we usually expect. The monk replied with a smile. Actually, it's raised a lot of eyebrows. The modernization of temples, whether due to cars, online ritual services, air conditioning in meditation rooms, or even just electric candles in the worship halls, has always been extremely controversial. But the thing is, Buddhism's always been a radical faith. Siddhartha lived in a caste-based agrarian society. Not that there's not hierarchies in both. A caste-based agrarian society, calling for freedom of commerce and the abolition of social hierarchy, was quite courageous of him. Of course, it's been thousands of years since the Buddha first turned the wheel of Dharma, and now Buddhism is an established mainstream religion. But the basic teachings of our faith still embrace that radicalism. How could they not when we question the objective reality of the physical universe itself? Readymade Bodhisattva by Park Seonghwan tells the story of a robot reaching enlightenment. Well, there is a plot. Much of the important details of the story occur in dialogue between the characters, and we'll return to some of these discussions after reviewing the plot. In the far future, in a Buddhist temple on Phobos, where robots live and exist alongside humans, a temple guide robot seemingly achieved Buddhahood. At this point, humanity is ruled largely by 6 corporations, one of which, UR, has invented robots with a degree of self-awareness not too long ago, kindling debates over whether that it's equivalent to self-consciousness. This temple robot has realized the emptiness of its selfhood and begun preaching to temple visitors. The monks of this temple call in a technician to help assure visitors that the robot is functioning properly, and as such, its enlightenment is not simply a malfunction. The technician, however, is startled when meeting the robot and claims it's beyond his ability. At that moment, the president of UR bursts into the temple and attempts to warn the monks away from speaking of the robot's enlightenment and tries to return the robot to the factory on the grounds that it's faulty and not following typical robot behavior. It's kind of a comical scene. Overall, that was the impression I got very much with this kind of corporate president breaking in at this moment. The robot gives a final sermon to humanity and turns itself off. We're told that this sermon and the teachings of the robot eventually spread throughout the AI communities after its death, with its title as the quote-unquote Readymade Bodhisattva, which is a fun little double meaning by ready-made. And turning to the actual marrow of the narrative, each character who encounters the Readymade Bodhisattva throughout the story has to wrestle with their own delusions and assumptions. The technician is pushed to consider the potential sentience of these machines that he's treated as just that. The monks are pushed to question whether a robotic enlightenment negates or downplays a human enlightenment. The president of robotics questions the implications for humanity and how it will change humanity's position in the world, likely also thinking of how it will affect his bottom line. And other AIs question their own potential enlightenment. So, as stated in the introduction to the story, from the anthology where I pulled this from, Readymade Bodhisattva is best approached as an interrogation from a Korean perspective of the trope of artificial intelligence as it appears in the Anglo-American science fiction Isaac Asimov's Robot series as a massive influence. Upon which Isaac Asimov's Robot series has a massive influence. The earliest stories in that series, collected in his book I, Robot, are notable not only because they introduce his famous laws of robotics, which you've seen time and time again in fiction pop up here or there, a series of 3 harm prevention conditional rules for governing robot decision-making processes, but also because they explore the mysterious instances where apparent malfunctions are ultimately revealed as proper functioning, given the inevitable presence of human errors as well as the limits of both contingency planning and the ways in which generalized vague laws are interpreted. But while Park Seonghwan's treatment of the thinking machine also addresses the mysterious truth that can be found within apparent malfunction, it's concerned with the generalized laws of a different kind, profoundly different from what is found in Asimov's works, pursuing as it does questions of sentience existence, and truth from a uniquely Buddhist perspective. At stake here are rather the metaphysical laws addressed in the Zen koan Mu, nothingness or non-existence, from which the story takes its epigram. And so one of the big questions of this story is, appropriately enough, does a Buddha have robot nature? As always, cite the text and any other sources to support your answer. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.